City, we would like to welcome you for this meeting.
Before we start, is it being recorded
Yes.
and live telecast?
Sir, we'll be transcribing his lecture, so can she keep her phone?
Are we, is it live?
Yes, it's live streamed.
It's in the YouTube.
Yes,
Other people are watching.
yes.
How many are watching? Do you know?
We don't know, so it goes, it goes to Mysore University.
Oh,
We just
okay,
have
okay.
to,
It will be there somewhere.
Yeah.
it's on the YouTube
Somebody will
channel.
see.
It's in the YouTube channel.
Good. Thank you, Subha. Thank you also the university for giving me this opportunity. I am a fan of Beyond. How many of you know Beyond? The world is one TV channel. It's a news channel. And we know that if I go to NDTV, one view you get. If you go to some other channel, it's something else. I don't know whom to look at. Depends on the party, people, all those things. But I see Vian is little more disconnected with the local politics. So you get slightly more general view of it. You may not agree with me also, but the fact is that I know this channel is pro, but Vian I cannot say with pro what. Beyond expansion is world is one. That's beyond. Is the world one? This is the question we should ask ourselves. We keep asking ourselves. Humanity is only one. There is no second. Dheeraj Srivastava write a chapter. How many varieties of men or human beings were present on the face of the earth? But there is today only one. Okay. Unfortunately, they are not one. They are split in 300 countries, 297 or something like countries. Why are they different? Maybe political, maybe religious, maybe language, maybe simply the geographical location of this country. But we certainly don't live like one world. We are world of many worlds. Consequences we know. The moment you split like this, the resources are also different. Some countries have a lot more natural resources. Some countries have a lot more human resources. Some countries have a lot more management, the political structures. They are not the same. Net result is the economic strength of each country is very different from the economic strength of another country. If you really look carefully, should it be so, need not be so? My answer will be need not be so. Like for example, a few years before, people were talking about lithium. Where is it available? It's available in one country in Africa, right? And the resources value is very high, but then they are not in a position to make use of it. Again, our storyteller will tell you the 10-year-old boy is harvesting the material, but it is being sold by a company somewhere else in the Western world, and that boy or that country gets very little of this. So clearly, we are living in an uneven world. We are living in an unjust world, not a just world. If one doesn't get what to do. More importantly, it changes with time. Yesterday it was different, today is different, day after it is going to be different. Right? So the value of their resources, whatever they are, to the country of origin is not the same, is different. Right? So let me start with one indicator of value, the GDP. GDP of a country is an indicator of the economic strength of the country. Right? Let's look at the economic strength of the country. Can I go to the next slide? Here we have plotted the GDP in the last almost maybe 50, 60 years, right? Not a very big period, but it is almost a century. For one, you see, they are not the same relatively. But fortunately or unfortunately, United States remains as the number one. But they were not number one 100 years before. Right? They are not one to other, the relations are not the same. They keep changing. They cross. You see China now is going up in a different direction. It's not following the same trend. India is not there at all in this, right? So, yeah, economic strength of a country indicator, a universally accepted indicator, GDP, is changing with time. And it is changing from country to country. They are not changing at the same level. What is it? And what is it we learn out of this? That is what I'm going to discuss today. And also I have chosen those countries where there is a big difference which I don't understand. Why should it be so? It's not clear. So let's go to the next slide. We only want to look at 3 countries. USA, China, India. You know why? USA is the number 1 leader in terms of monetary economic strength. India is our country. We want to know where we are and where we are going. So we should be interested in this. And there is somebody who is changing. China. China started off in 1960 at the same level as India. Almost at the same level as India. Both are developing countries. At that time, it used to be called underdeveloped countries. And for the next almost 30, 40 years, there was a change. In 1947, we became independent. China became to the present system in 1949 or something like that. Right? And from then onwards, India and China have been moving almost at the same level, even though political systems were very different. People always say a political system. That's not true. It's not a political system. It's irrespective of what happens. Like, for example, the Mao Revolution. Where is the indication of Mao Revolution in this figure? It's not there. Right? So it doesn't seem to depend on anything which we are familiar with. But for almost 50 years, it was going on that. And somewhere around 1980 onwards, 80, 90, right? It's not far away. I was already close to retirement at that time. I don't know how many of you were born at that time, may not be born, but still is not very much behind. There is a change. You can clearly see the change. India and China were running almost parallel to each other, almost identical to each other, from the inception in the 60s and 50s to 90s, were exactly the same. Then 1980s, 87, 90, it started deviating slowly, right? And then that growth lasted for about 10 years. Then onwards, it's an enormous growth. Now, between 2000 and 2020, the change is no longer marginal. It's already reaching GDP of 20 United States, and it is still increasing. So if you extrapolate blindly, they will overtake United States in 10 years. Right? What happened? Very often people say, oh, it is your democratic system is responsible for our miseries. Not true. Democratic system we had before, they had their communist system before, but they were not growing like this in the early decades. For almost 5 decades, they were not moving in that direction. Between 2000 and 2020, 20 years, nothing visibly has changed in the management structure, political system, or anything else. But they are moving ahead in such a pace, they are going to overtake the most rich country in the world, that is United States. How did it happen? Why did it happen? This is a question which I would like to ask myself. And I gave the title, The Dark Cars in the Race. That's what happens in the dark cars. Least expected cars wins the race. Yeah, the least expected country is China. And it is becoming number one. In 20 years, it's not a big time, it's just 20 years. And that is the question we would like to ask ourselves. Next one. I wanted to show the nuclear journey of the two countries. Just to emphasize one or two points which I made in the last few minutes. 1949, China became independent. That was just 2 years after 1947, India becoming independent. They were close allies of USSR. And they exploded the first bomb in 1964. Within 15 years, they were a nuclear weapon state. Right? It took another 10 years, 1974. We did not become a weapon state at that time. We exploded. We demonstrated our capability to do it, but we did not demonstrate a weapon. Right? Next to 32 years, China conducted 47 device tests. They were obviously going full steam on the weapon side, and India didn't do anything, right? Zero. So, but they were having the nuclear weapon. They had thermonuclear weapons. They were conducted in the atmosphere, conducted in underground. It's a major movement in the years between 1950 to 1990. Their first reactor for electricity came in 1991. 1991, almost 3 years after their initial test. Whereas India had the first reactor for power production in 1969. And we were moving ahead. Right? So clearly, our priorities were slightly different from the Chinese priorities, but you cannot say it is because of their capabilities. It is just the priorities which were labeled to this. Otherwise, each one of them could have done almost the same. Next one. Go back. One more.
Previous one.
In this figure of China, I had marked 4 arrows. The 4 arrows are political or policy interventions made by China in those years. 1986, 1989, 1996, and 1999 or something. 4 policy interventions are there, very close to each other. And from the just looking at this figure, it's clear that they have done something. What is it these figures represent and what it did to China, which led to China galloping ahead? That is the crux of my talk. Go to the next one. And 2 slides afterwards. Yes. What were the 4 critical interventions? The 4 arrows which I indicated, starting from 1989 to 1999, within a period of 10 years. They had a high technology development plan. They came to the conclusion that the United States is number 1 because of their technological strength. So they said, we must also strengthen our technology so that we can compete with the United States. So 1986, they took a decision. They will invest heavily in R&D, research and development, in selected areas. Which were the areas selected? Obviously, the ones which have an important part, defense. Maybe nuclear, maybe space, satellites, missiles. Obviously, everything is related to security relations. And they were investing in those areas because in those areas, United States was number one. There's no question about it. They also realized that United States, one of the reasons for their success stories is their entrepreneurship development program. Whether it is Silicon Valley, Silicon Valley, everybody knows, even you, Bangalore wants to have a Silicon Valley, right? What is Silicon Valley? Silicon Valley is one program, one entire group of programs which were taking air technology to the marketplace. And human resource was being trained to do it. And somebody in China said, no, we have to have our own dedicated program to develop entrepreneurs as United States has done. Right? Whether it is Boston Group Road or whether it is Silicon Valley in California, it's always entrepreneurship. It's not government jobs, it's an entrepreneur. So they had a program called TORCH, supported by the United Nations UNDP program. In 1989, they started this program in China also. When you have a program like TORCH, you also need trained manpower. And when you want to have a trained manpower, they said our program in 1986 program will do that. But they were concentrating only on defense technologies. But do you see entrepreneurs today only are working on defense technologies? No, they make money in cell phones and things like that. Right? So obviously defense technology alone will not do. So that also China recognized very early that we cannot have this program successfully unless we broaden our area of interest. So in 1995, if new programs are brought in, they said, no, we will not concentrate only on defense technologies, but any evolving technology, any new technology which comes in. So almost about, you can't promote research without institutions which will promote. So they said, no, we must have a large number of research institutions, universities, which work on independent areas, evolving areas, developing areas, and taking to the highest level. So 1995, they took that decision. And 1998, they said, no, we will also identify which areas are important. Right? The areas are not only bomb and missiles, but even biotechnology, information technology, transport technology, everything. Any new evolving technology, they will be connected to this. So these are the 4 interventions. As you recall, that there were only 4 interventions. And you know what they are. Right? And what are they related to? Education. It is not starting a new company. It is education. Right? All the 4 initiatives were related to education only, but in all areas, competing areas. Next one. What is the impact of this? Here, we have plotted the science and engineering graduates. Before they started this program, 2000, just after they initiated the program, results are not yet seen. 2000, China had almost 2/3 of the number of engineering, science and engineering graduates as compared to United States. Right? In 2003, they crossed it. In 2015, 18, they're already how much? 4.5 times more. No, more than that, 2 times more than United States. Number of science and engineering graduates, but this, don't get the impression they were only supporting science and engineering graduates. They were supporting the educational system. This figure refers to science and engineering because we know how to count science and engineering students, but they were strengthening education. And the first impact is the number of students at the university level grew up, right, substantially. Next one. PhD students. So how many of the students are actually involved in the research level? When we started in 2000, I'm not talking about 1960 and all, I'm talking about 2000. In 2000, they had less than maybe 8,000, and the United States had 3 times 25,000. And United States gradually is increasing. This China is galloping. They are already close to overtaking United States in terms of science and engineering PhDs. How do I, if I count arts and other engineering, other PhDs, it's going to be even more, right? So this number is available for PhD, and I was interested in science and engineering, I was seeing it, but they were not limited. They said one of the major decisions which they said, we will not decide what should be done for research. Let the students decide. But we will support. That's a policy they are taking. Next one. Impact. If you have 10 PhD students, what will they do? The PhD students know only one thing, do research. Right? So the number of researchers should be increasing. If you hear 1995, India had something like 100 researchers per million population. And they had something like 400. Already they were more. Today they have gone to 1,300. We are still around 200. So effectively, their interventions has resulted in the increase in the number of researchers per million population. Our populations are almost the same. India and China populations are roughly same. So effectively, they have something like 6 times more researchers than what we have. Next one. Just a comparison. Researchers per million and the GDP, are they related? Does it make sense in terms of the economic strength of a country? Here we have plotted for several countries. You think they are correlated or not? I think it's very clear that if you have more researchers, you are more likely to have a higher GDP. You don't need a special analysis for this. Yes, there are variations, say between Norway and South Korea, right? But overall, there is a trend. You have more researchers per million, you are likely to have a higher GDP. That's very clear coming out of this. But even more painful is we are at the bottom. Where is India? Right? So clearly, the message is that we have a very small number of researchers per million population in our country. And the result is our GDP is also low. So you may bring any number of policies, makes no difference. Because you are having policies with no implementing hands. Unless you have researchers, your policies cannot be converted into this. Babu sitting in Delhi is not going to do research. Ultimately, a researcher has to do it. And you don't have researchers. Right? That is the message which comes out of this. There is no China, India here. This is a global picture. Any country which is rich financially, ultimately they related to the number of researchers are available. Right? And there are some exceptions. Like, for example, Russia has a larger number of researchers, but GDP is very not that much. Right? There are reasons for that, but overall trend is indisputable. You cannot question that. Next one. I mentioned about technology business incubators. It tells you how to convert a technology into money, business proposition. And in 1990, China took steps to increase the number of business incubators so that more of the students will get into business of making money. Right? They are not always in defense related only, but overall the economy. So 1990 they started. 1990, their first incubator was started. And in 2020, there are close to 5,000 incubators in the country. Before 1990, there is nothing called a entrepreneur in Russia, in China, because it's a communistic country. They said making money is a sin. So they will not encourage anybody to make money. But then in 1990, they took a policy, they said, no, this will not take us anywhere. If you don't make money, you will not become rich. So continue to be poor forever. Right? So they started this. And obviously, it's a big increase which is taking place in terms of business incubators. I'll give you one example of a business incubator. What a business incubator can do to you. Suppose as we walk along the roads in the university, I get an idea. I've never done any business. Right? But I see there is a possibility. I can do this. Right? To whom I go and ask? Whether it is reasonable or I'm just imagining things. I'd go somewhere, no? Business incubator allows you to do it. You go there, you walk in and say, this is what I want to do. Is it reasonable? Then they say, okay, let me find the expert in that area. They identify him, and you sit across with him and explain it to him. This is what I want to do. Okay. If the idea is just a crazy idea, it's not reasonable, then he will tell you, sorry, you're very good, you have got a good idea, but this idea won't work. You go back home and start doing different things. But if the idea is good, then what do you do? Then he has to encourage you to take it further, because you don't get the first idea immediately. You have to work on it. You have to make a business plan. You have to make a manufacturing plan. So many things have to be done. So they say, okay, come here. Here is a room. Sit here. Do all those things. I will ask you, how do you convert it into a saleable product? Whether it is the software, whether it is the hardware, it doesn't matter. You sit down and do it. You do it. If you have a problem, you don't have who to go. There is a fellow sitting in the back who will help you. His job is only to help you. Right? And suppose it comes to a big product, then you have to manufacture or convert it into a saleable product. Costs money. The incubator gives you the money, facilities to do it and money to do it. Then incubator should get in return. So they say, okay, if this succeeds, 50% is mine. Incubator gets it. If it fails, go home. You are not going to repay the incubator or anything. That means at no stake, you are able to take it to a business level. I always say in our country, if I have a new idea and I go and tell my father, now I want to try this new idea, but I need about 10,000 rupees. He said, well, very good. But what if it fails? Right? Nobody will take it. So if it fails, first your father will say, you ruined my 10,000 rupees. Next, your wife will say, you are an idiot. You are working in a nice university. You have to go in the morning and come in the evening, and money was coming in the bank. Unnecessarily, you got into it and got into this fellow. Then you go for another job. You say, you are a failed fellow. So why are you coming back to us? Go back. So failure in entrepreneurship in this country is a major punishment. Whereas in countries where entrepreneurship is encouraged, like United States. United States, you have an idea, you fail. When you go to the next interview, you say, I already had an idea and I failed. Now I'm coming with a new idea. So you are a fellow who can stand failure and come with new ideas. So it goes to your credit. Whereas in our environment, it becomes a liability. It is a change of mindset. The technology business incubator changes the life, the mindset, right? So They invested heavily on this. Next one. Okay, publications, forget it, not important. Next. Main problem I mentioned, the number of researchers per million is very low in India. How low it is, you saw it in that picture, and number wise, I'm giving you, Denmark is 8,000 per million population. India is 250 per million population. Can't be less than that. Right? So clearly, India is lagging behind, and China is not very high, but still 6 times more than in India. Next. Okay, number of publications not important. Next. See, sometimes people argue, no, Indian scientists are not that productive. We have number. Number is not important. You must have productivity. Look at here. Citations per document. How many people read your paper, scientific paper? You see, USA is 20, 25, but China is 13. India is also around that 13. That means the quality of publications of Indian scientists is not bad, comparable to China, but we just don't do enough. Right? That's the message that comes out of this. Next one. Okay, go back. So net result is between 2000 and 2020, number of universities have increased enormously in China. So if you look at the top 20 universities, 90% are in China. If you look at number of publications, China is one of the top most, maybe number 1, number 2, maybe not one. Number of patents, if you look at across the globe, China is next only to United States and likely to overtake United States very soon. So clearly, the investments they made in universities, in 20 years they paid back, right? And they are competing with the strongest S&T in country in the whole world. This message, unfortunately, our leaders are not getting. Okay, we still think that it's money you just throw in and you will collect all the money. That's not possible. That's not the way it is done. We also invested in education. People will ask anybody, say, oh, we have IITs who are the best in the world. Right? 1956. First IIT came into existence. And why are we not in the first top? We had IITs. The IIT boys are making United States rich. Why are they not making India rich? This question is asked. Okay? Let's look at what we have done with IITs. Next. The first picture says central universities, IITs. In 1950, we started with the first IIT, the middle figure. 1960, we had about 5 IITs. What are those 5? You know it very clearly. For next 30 years, we did nothing. See here. But 5 became 6 after almost 30 years. What happened? Did we one success? We rest. Succeed. Okay. So they said, oh, quality of IITs will decrease if you increase the number. What happened to the quantity? Forgotten completely. Right? Only in the last 10, 20 years, the IIT is increasing. Still not enough. But at least we are taking the cognizance that less IIT does not mean you are better. You must have more IIT because there are more students. You go to management. Right side. 1960, we had 2 management institutes of international standing. And 1990, we had 4. Is that the growth rate? Is that adequate for this country? Certainly not. Central universities. We started our central universities very, very early. Right? Many universities like Calcutta, Chennai came very early. But the number of central universities did not increase almost up to 2000. It's the same. That means number of opportunities available for an average student in India, if he is not in Bangalore, is almost zero. That has not changed at all. So effectively, in comparison to China, which invested heavily in education, we invested least in education. We are thinking policy changes will change. You change 5% to 7%, 7% to 3%. We keep on playing with numbers. What needs to be done was not done, has not been done. I'm glad in the last 10, 20 years, there is a change in thinking, but not enough. Our number of scientists is still the lowest in the world. We have to change that. There's nothing you can do without doing it. Next one. What about technology business incubators? 2 or 3 things are important. Number one, we also started in 1990. Exactly the same year as China. Right? Also a tragedy behind it. The first incubator in China was started with help from UNDP, United Nations Fund for Development, UNDP. They gave to India and China on the same day. They gave not only for China, but also India also they gave some money. More tragically, they have to send, UNDP always sends an expert to help you to set up your this. And the expert for China came from India, from Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad is a heaven for the entrepreneurs. So the best entrepreneur came from Ahmedabad. He was sent to China. He lifted to 4,000 incubators. But in India itself, it has not grown. It has gone to 250 only. The same time, when they went from 1 to 4,000, we went from 1 to 250. So you know where we are busy. Right? So clearly, our priorities were not right in entrepreneurship, but only in education and entrepreneurship. So effectively, education and entrepreneurship did not get the support it needs. They got only vocals. We will support, we will do, change one rule, nothing. Right? That's the one which has left us in the lurch. We are falling behind China like anything. Next one. Okay, why you are saying so many things? Tell me what we should do. You don't find fault with what has been done. What has been done has already been done. Tell me what I should do. Number one, India needs to fix its educational and research and development pipeline and bring more students into research so that the number of R&D personnel per million population in India grows to levels comparable to developed countries. What is that? Levels comparable to developed countries? Minimum of 5 to 10 times. If Mysore University, huge infrastructure. Have you seen this kind of infrastructure anywhere in the country? No. Where are the students? You have to look with a microscope. That's the first requirement. You have infrastructure, you have invested in infrastructure. Infrastructure doesn't generate any. It is the student which generates. And you have to have more students. Right? And that is the first message. And how much more? My feeling is at least 10 times. If you have 1 student today, it should be 10 students more. Right? Now we are actually trying to reduce it. Number of students is getting reduced. Second thing, we have to strengthen the ecosystem for innovation and entrepreneurship. It is the entrepreneurs who generate money. Whether it is Sundar Pichai in the United States or Ambani in India, they are the entrepreneurs. They saw a business opportunity. They collected all the information, technical information to convert an idea into a product which can be sold. Sold it in India, sold it across the world and generate money. right? And we need more such people. We started doing it, but we are not doing enough. I said the first entrepreneur teacher to China is from Ahmedabad. Why does it still Ahmedabad doesn't grow? The reason is Ahmedabad fellows are still not technologically trained. The entrepreneurs are there in Ahmedabad, but they are still in the conventional methods, buying, selling, tinkering, jugaad. Jugaad will not do today. You need high technology, right? That they were not trained. So we have to do something to change the ecosystem and the innovation and entrepreneurship. We think, myself and NIAS Srivastava, double the number of R&D professionals and double the number of entrepreneurs in the next 10 years. Why double? Why not 10 times? I will be very happy. But then we will say, well, how do I do it? It's a cycle. I need teachers. More teachers means I need more students today. Where do I start? It's an infinite cycle. So we say, you can double. If you have 10 students here, without investing in infrastructure, without investing on the teaching faculty, without investing any additional money, I can have two or twice. If you have 20 students in the class, why not 40? Can be done. If we do that, in 2047, we will be developed India already. It's not impossible. It's certainly possible. But who is listening? I don't know. Right? So he says, NIAS Srivastava says, you are responsible for this. I said, yes, I was responsible for it, and 20 years before that, I did not know any of these things. So we keep blaming each other. It will not take us anywhere. Concrete steps are required to double the number of researchers every 10 years. Right? I would like to stop. Yeah, many of the things which I said, it's available in the report, NIAS report, 2020. It's available in the web.
We will share that report as well. Thank you, sir. I'm sure those who are hearing the renowned for the first time. This is a perspective we never heard before, especially on China's growth and India's growth, and where India is lagging behind and what India is. It's give a big hand for us. Thank you, sir. What you are, I think, in research term, you are also the incubator. You are incubating ideas. Effective institution. I'm sure this will spread. It will take time, but it will spread. Start with that.
If you start, it will take time. If you don't start, it will not take time.
We are starting. We are in the process. Now let's open. I'll open the floor for Q&A.
So you had mentioned about
A small note about you so that he knows he is speaking to.
Who you are.
Yeah,
Sir, I'm Ashi Ganeshan. I am a master's scholar in Department of Political Sciences, Madras.
Right.
And sir, you had mentioned about Jugaad towards the end of your lecture. But sir, in some cases, it has actually helped us to achieve a target without spending like lots of money on it. So don't you believe it? On very certain cases, it is rather helpful for us rather than painting it in a bad picture. Sir. Just your opinion.
Jugaad is helpful. There's no question about it. But Jugaad is not enough. If you see one fellow gets one good idea, what happens to the remaining millions of people? They are not contributing anything. There is a dead weight. Everyone should be in that category.
On this case, this principle Jugaad is science. Jugaad on this question, that narrative Jugaad is science and Jugaad is not science. You like to comment on that?
Jugaad is science. It's not formal science. Who says Jugaad is not science? I would not say Jugaad is not science. It's not formal science, right? So you see, when I was there in 1990, there was a story. I think it was And one of the washing machines, Kelvinator, or which one I don't remember. Washing machines, they were trying to do market research. Where do they sell washing machines in India? Who are the people who buy washing machines in India? And they came out with a surprising result. That's some areas in Punjab. The number of washing machines sold is very high. Right? Take a national average. Let's say in a city of so many million population, so many washing machines are sold. In that particular area, about 3 times washing machines are being sold. So they were trying to find out why are they buying washing machines? I mean, they are not so much critical about having a machine wash clothes all the time. Turned out they were not using the washing machine for washing. They were using it for churning the milk. The washing machine goes back and forth. No? Even if you put milk there, but milk is just churned. Why shouldn't you use only for kapda? That is jugaad. Right? What the Silicon Valley fellows do exactly the same. You have a drone. What are you using it for? You can use it for spraying some agricultural things. You can use it for spraying bombs in some other place. But drone is a drone. All right. That is jugaad. So don't underestimate jugaad. He doesn't have a formal PhD. We want a jugaad PhD fellow. Yeah, that's what we are basically saying. Increase innovation, even imagination, and use it for whatever you can do. Find new uses for old things.
So, my name is Ravi Francis. I'm a project associate at NIAS. Sir, on your goals of what India needs to do, I think there's one thing that you missed, if I may be so bold to say, that while we need to, build education and we need to create techno entrepreneurs, India as a country, we do not give incentives for our talent to stay. Why are we going outside?
We don't need an incentive, we want support.
Yeah, so but then why would, if I am talented, if America or China is paying me more, if I'm getting more luxury, as a country, we do not provide, so essentially there is a brain drain. So why should I stay here if I can get much better opportunities outside? So as a country, we
That is why so many fellows are outside the country,
exactly.
right? It need not happen today. There are more opportunities in India. Ultimately, the United States software or instrument is sold in India. Market here is more. That is why they are coming back. What we are saying is they need not have gone there at all. They could have sat here and got the same support.
So I'll give you an example. So
Yeah.
there was a recent post on LinkedIn about a corporate employee. He used to work in the Silicon Valley, and he came back because he lost his job, and he was saying, and he was very excited to come back to India. He was saying that I was very excited considering noting that India has become such a big corporate empire in itself, and he was disappointed because working in India has not become sustainable. He was like, the work-life balance is not good. The incentives to stay in India is much less. Even if the end result is as much as what I
That is
want.
what I am saying. I'm exactly what I'm saying. Create conditions here where people
So
will.
who will create those conditions?
Of course, the government has a responsibility,
Hmm.
but all education is
Institute.
are people like us, retired people. But why am I talking like this? I get my salary pension on first of every month. I get my pension. Why should I worry about what China is doing? Right? I get nothing in return for this, but it is my country.
Yes.
And they could be there. Why are we here? Right? I won't be there, but my grandchild will be there. Right? So if that recognition has to come. But and our political system, you know very well where are the difficulties. Right? I always say freebies. Freebies should be removed.
What do you mean by freebie?
Freebie.
Like free.
You know, in my house,
Okay.
I get my salary,
Yes.
pension.
Yes.
I stay in my house, 3-bedroom, all kitchen, almost thing, fridge, AC, everything is there. I don't pay electricity fee. right? They say, why the hell I should not pay electricity? I should pay, no? But if I go and pay now, my wife will say, you are an idiot. When they don't want it, why you go and pay? Right? Priorities are wrong. Why that priority? Election politics. Right? Why election is like this? Because we don't apply our mind. We don't ask ourselves. So it's a linked system, but can be changed.
On this, both India and China have the same problem. The Indian scientists go out and work. Chinese scientists also go out and work. Is there something China is doing differently? You have been telling how China is doing. Is China able to attract talents and bring them back? And is there something that we can do?
I will tell you what, this bringing them back was considered a requirement in the 80s. The early 90s, they recognized this bringing back is of no value. Because when they come back, their mind is still there. So they come here, after 1 year, they go back, all those things. Now they don't depend on coming back. You are a student of our university. You continue your research in our university. You make your product in our place. We will help only in the market. Right? That they do. They do help in the marketing. But coming back, they say, you want to go abroad, go. They're coming back for there only for 1 decade, not two.
So effectively, what you are telling or what I understand is China has realized that we will make our system better and not worry about those who are gone.
Yeah.
Those,
Exactly. How many? Some handful go out. Let them go. We have 1 million. 1,000 people have gone. Let them go. They will not worry about it. Right?
So, but they also invest in sending their own people outside to learn and come back. That's something
No.
that we don't.
that stage where China's past 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
they were funding people to go out and learn and come back. They said now their universities are better than many other US universities. So they don't have to send there. They send to our universities, and our local universities, they are better off.
they will be better.
Yes.
Answer. You want to go with it?
And then one other aspect which is normally not sufficiently emphasized. Look at American education. Up to class 12, education is concerned. Quality is not. You just pass. For admission to colleges, that is when the rigor starts. They have this SAT examination, which is open to students of across the world. So they get the best students from all over the world. And if the student is good enough, he's fully supported. Scholarships are provided to him. They're fully supported. So in the, up to class 12 education, perhaps they have not spent enough money. They have, but they are getting the best students from across the world. And for whatever reason, historical reasons and the way it was found, America is a very resource country. So they are able to pay better. So if you want to compare, you should compare with Europe, which are as resource deprived as us or as resource as we are Indians eager to go to Europe. Only now they have started going to Germany or to Sweden. Earlier they were not going.
But before 1930, they were going only to Germany and not United States.
Yes.
Before 19.
Before the
So part of their richness is also legacy richness. And I think.
We have 30 more minutes. I see Gauri, Pragya, Preeti, Raiki. 5 in my plate. 6. We'll go in that order. Gauri, Pragya, Preeti, Mallikarjun, Raiki, and so forth.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for that insightful lecture. Sir, I have a question. As you were in the position of IEA, so what policy gaps you saw between the divergence increase of China rise and India? तब आपको आप ऐसे पोजीशन पे थे तो आपको क्या लगता है आपको करना चाहिए था उस टाइम पे जिससे
I would have said if somebody wants to join IIT, he should be getting it, not go to Rajasthan.
अच्छा
See, that's a clear indication that we were not do the right thing. A good student goes to Rajasthan to study for entrance to IIT, but he should enter IIT. You train them there, right? You are an educational institution. You want a fellow in Rajasthan who has never entered IIT to train people for IIT. That itself is an indication wrong. Some people are making money. I would say politics. Right? But blaming politics is an easy way of blaming it. That is not a solution. Right? How to solve the problem? One is clear. If somebody wants to have an institution and the same model as IIT, encourage him to do it. Ask him to do it. Don't come in his way. You say now you must have 22 certificates to start an IIT. VIT in Vellore is considered one of the good institutions. The kind of problems they had in the beginning, everybody knows. Mangalore, what is this institution? Manipal, right? They have shown themselves as competitive as any other IIT. I also know from close quarters, I asked this question to IIT Delhi. Why don't you double your admission number? Right? You admit 700 people. You yourself say 7,000 people qualified to be in IIT. Why don't you increase it? The answer given was very simple. We have no hostels. They didn't say we have no teachers. No. They said we have no hostels. I said, what nonsense is this? You tell him I have no hostel, he will stay with his parents or his uncle, his cousin, or in a shanty. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where he stays. What matters is what he learns. They wanted to have. We are different. Right? Make it difficult. So that I think was wrong. I used to tell that in 20 years before. Even now today I say it is wrong.
You know that in older IITs, alumni, they actually, some of them actively opposed opening up new IIT because they continue to tell हमारा brand value खराब हो जाएगा. Our brand value will go down.
They have the tendency, they have
Yeah.
that mindset.
What is upper lip?
Fellows, they are still thinking that they are maintaining that same tempo.
That is at the cost of the country.
In
Country pays the money.
examination, if you are losing 1 mark, you go 10,000 below, right? What is the difference between the kid who gets 997 marks and 996 marks? Nothing. So that is the point we use argue very seriously about. Yeah.
So my name is Pragya Thakur. I'm a postgraduate student at the Department of International Relations, University of Mysore. So you have almost covered everything, but in the last, considering the last part of the presentation, I have just one question, which you almost covered, but I still want to ask that. India has a booming startup ecosystem as of now, but we are still lagging behind from China in a lot of things. So is it only priority based, or there are some other factors behind it that makes us lag behind from China? So first thing that you said was priority, but apart from that,
I think there is nothing which is missing. somehow our leadership has not recognized this has a value much more than what they think. You know, in our country, if you make a profit, you are a sinner. उसका पैसा मिल जाता है. Why should I help you? That's not the spirit. We may get money, but nation gets the money. That message has not got into the political leadership even.
Another thing, the picture you saw of GDP, plot which he sold was only from 1960 or 80. But it has been extrapolated down to first AD. From first AD to 1990, India GDP and China GDP has been more or less same population, same kind of condition, same kind of ruling. China also had a lot of internal fighting. India had a lot of internal fighting. China had foreign rulers. India has had foreign, everything I did. So that GDP equality was the one which forced us to start looking at it. So they take corrective step, we don't take the corrective step. Well,
This will come from the Department of International Studies. I have two questions, sir. The crux of the presentation was education and entrepreneurship as key role for rise of India. In that background, how are some initiatives like the Startup India initiative or any other initiative that we have taken been performing? What are some gaps in terms of these initiatives, which can?
India has one unique characteristic. They always do the right things. They don't do enough. I have done the right thing. Now it should take off. Was it enough? That question is never asked. Say entrepreneurship or Vajpayee program. It's a national program, right? And it's doing well. Many youngsters benefit from this. But is it there in the University of Mysore? Effectively, what it says is, you don't do enough. You do a little bit token and rest. I think that has to change. That's two questions.
My next question was, you also spoke about freebies. In that context, I want to understand how having a strong social security net, would that ensure a stable upward social mobility for people, and would that in turn sort of support people?
I'm in favor of that, but that is need-based. He needs it, he gets it, right? Ramurthy doesn't need it, but it is given to him. Why? Where was the need for that? Right?
I would say any good student, you see, intelligence is randomly distributed. So you'll find bright students or bright minds everywhere, anywhere. The idea is that no good student should be deprived of education just because it comes from a financially backward condition or socially backward place. We can ensure that they will automatically take care of it. Just educate them, they will be fine. They will create a partner.
Good morning, sir. My name is Mallikarjun, PG student from University of Mysore. So my question is, sir, the science and technology agreement between US and China. Science and technology agreement between US and China. So how the China get benefited from this agreement? From start from 1979. The China entered as a junior partner, now emerged as a global competitor in the science and technology.
You have to come. Did you get the question?
So I said that there was science and technology agreement between states and China.
Yeah.
How China benefited?
They trained the first generation of students. right? They were expecting the trained people will be a resource for China. In my view, it turned out a liability. Because their mindset is already towards United States. So today, they don't depend on students trained outside China. We train our students. But their university, I think number one is Wuhan, is it?
Peking.
Yeah.
Peking University.
Huh?
Teaching.
The main thing is, if you take that university, 1/3 of the faculty will have research background and research liabilities, responsibilities. Like 1/3. And almost 1/3 of the students will be involved in research of one kind or another. And I can assure you, if we do the same exercise in this university, not even 10% will be in research. They will be teaching the same. There is no research input at all, right? So neither the faculty nor the student have a research focus in our universities. If I'm talking about, I said Mysore University. It's true of IITs. There are faculty members in IIT who don't do any research. It doesn't take you anywhere. There is no new knowledge generation. There is no new student which has a flavor for research. So research focus should increase. Now, in the 80s, China depended on United States to produce people with a research focus. Today, they think it's not necessary. You want to go abroad, go. You want to come back, come. In my terms, I will tell you, I am not going to give you an extra salary because you are coming from the United States, which they used to do in the 80s. Not today. Wuhan, top 300 universities, they have a research component which is more than 40-50%. I don't see why it cannot be done.
My name is Ranki Ansar. I'm also a first year postgraduate student in international studies from Stella Maris College. I have two questions, both of which I believe you have partially addressed, but if you could add more, I would. So firstly, since you mentioned that in the last 10 years, maybe 20 years, there have been a boom or a high number in the IITs that India has been making. But at the same time, state level universities or other universities in India are also facing a crisis in terms of funding and encouragement that they receive from the government.
Funding cannot be generated by the university. It has to come from somewhere else. It's a policy decision.
Yeah. So should policy decisions in
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah, in your opinion, should they be made towards creating more IITs which are, or should that be?
We
should
keep
be
saying that, and we are telling you because you should be aware that you play a role in this, major role. But this is meant for the government. You are not investing in the right place. You are not doing the right thing to take us to a. See, Prime Minister says 2047 because it's Bharat. Because it's Bharat, you close all the universities, because it's Bharat will take place by itself, is it? It will take. Right? And we are telling it will take place if you do this. We were given only 3 sentences. It is not a thesis which you have to read. Anybody who can read English, we will know what we have written. Right? And what we have written is not our imagination. What China has done and what we could have done, what we have not done. This is what we should do. This is what I said. Anybody who is serious about it can read it. Right? But the right persons have to read at the right time and do the right things. We cannot guarantee it. So we can continue to say that. Repeat.
You had one more question.
So my second question was in terms of most of the initiatives that is brought in by the government, like Make in India or Startup India, they're more focused on employment generation and like an industry.
Short term.
Sorry, sir.
Short term objective.
Yeah, so do we have anything in place that actually encourages education for the purpose of research? Has there been any initiatives?
No. Education is not the purpose of for the purpose of research. You do education, then education, research, and entrepreneurship follow. You don't have to do anything. It will follow. And if research and entrepreneurship follow, economic returns follow. You don't have to do anything. Your responsibility is to light the lamp. Then everything goes by itself. That they think that I will do that and lighting lamp afterwards. That means I make rasam by not lighting the stove, but adding all ingredients. Will it take you anywhere? Do not.
So, from South Asian Studies, Pondicherry University. So my first question is, as you was talking about education as well as entrepreneurship, so do we need more edupreneurs? But you also spoke that people who have not stepped into IITs are teaching students or training students for IITians. So how do we bridge this gap? Because we are
Encourage both. You have to encourage entrepreneurs, edupreneurs. You have to encourage edupreneurs, right? Then everything follows.
But sir,
They are not decoupled.
but sir, if they are not who have entered IITs,
Yeah.
but they are training IITians.
That I don't believe in that model at all. You see, if you don't know that system, you can train people for that system. I don't think that is a money earning proposition to his.
And my second question is, as you said, India does the right things, but not enough.
Yes,
So
at the right time.
at the right time. So we can see that there is a lack of feedback mechanism, or there is a lack of feedback, sir. Why there is this lapse?
Possible. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Well, I am talking to the students here. You are not going to take decision in Delhi on education, right? So I am talking to the wrong group of people. But I am talking to you because you are the people who are involved in this. You are affected by this, right? And maybe 1 in 100 will have an opportunity to reach out. You will become an IAS officer, and then you start taking things. Right? So, there is no chartered road. You go like this, you will reach that. No, it's uncharted that thing.
Here, everything is interlinked, collective responsibility, collective dedication. Then it is possible to reach. Why China is power? They have China in, I think, the 80s, China made compulsory for the youngsters to work within the country. That is the reason it jumped its economy everywhere. It's a collective responsibility is required. The government has to train and we should be dedicated to the government. We should be dedicated to the country, then it is possible. If there is one way, that investment, it's not possible. What I am saying.
So, let me put one example. Look at the level of education. China, which has started educating people just around the same time. In fact, before independence, at the time of independence, India even had several advantages over China. But China was only exposed to Japanese education. India was exposed to English education, European education. A lot of people had also gone from China also. But even now, what is the level of literacy in India? It's just about 18%. It means that 200 to 280 million people still cannot read and write. China, only those who are in the age of 90s or 95 who were illiterate, they have remained. Nobody. Then the education itself, if you look at the study, distribution of educated people, say, a lot of them leave after class 5. Many more leave after class 10. But very few have technical education or the ITI training, which is hardly concentrated. No, we have failed in education. We have not failed, we have not finished.
Also, syllabus is outdated. I think so recently I read that in their syllabus they're adding AI for fifth graders, like people, students who are studying like AI, how to use AI for studying. So it's on a different level. Our syllabus have been outdated since I don't know when.
Fashion.
Courses are like what you learn.
Nanya? Family and then a couple of, yeah, is it okay?
आपको सबका नाम याद है आपको सबका नाम याद है
Do you think that the quantity of researchers depend on the quality of the institutes in India? And does India have enough and more quality institutions? Follow up to that question, same question is, we have our IITs, we have our IIMs, we have these prestigious universities in our country. We may not have Ivy Leagues like you have Princeton or Harvard in the United States, but what can Indian institutes do to attract better quality of students or a better quantity of students, as you said?
You have to attract good quality students, but you must also have attractive programs.
That's what
I told you 10% is, less than 10% is the research component in a university like Mysore, right? And then what do you call the same batter you keep on grinding, in Tamil there is a thing, arachamave arapam, terima. So it is, that means you are not doing anything. What is it the institution does to increase the research component of their students? And for that, what is the research component of their faculty? Right? That has to be addressed. And that only madam can answer.
If I can put the same question to you. You said we need more institutions.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
what
no,
are the,
but more institutions involving more R&D.
fair enough.
Yes.
What are the institutions that we have already that are doing? That's what she is referring to, the quality. You already have a number. You already have a quantity, no, sir?
My answer is they are
No.
not doing enough.
Why?
They are all conscious of their saleability. What is the demand for IIT? That is taken as the quality index. They are not taken as quality index. What is the demand for their research component? How much research component is there? Right? How does it compare with the university in China? Right?
So his answer is not broadening every institution, quality institution, quality.
Yes, exactly.
Our quality institutions, they have extremely competitive exams.
That's what he
That's
doesn't
correct.
mean anything.
they are taking the
No.
best.
That add to the sense of elitism that these institutions already maintain. The sense of
No, one thing. Let's imagine, I'm not suggesting they should do it because they will beat me up. Right? Suppose Mysore University says that if you are a faculty, if you don't have a research contribution of this kind, whatever it is, you will not become a professor. You will retire as assistant professor only. Right? That will put a lot of pressure on you. The moment you say that, the same thing applies for not only professors, but assistant professors, including vice chancellor. Right? If you don't have a track record of R&D in your career, you will not become a vice chancellor. Then pressure will come. But such a thing does not exist.
Family, and then go. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Sir, I'm Yamini. I'm from Madras Christian College. My question is about the research that you were talking about. You were emphasizing on increasing researchers. And most of the researchers nowadays are trying to challenge the existing structures, making things complex. At the end of the day, these knowledges should be put into effect. We are looking forward for that. Making things complex makes it difficult to put into effect and bring out an impact on the world. So what kind of research do you actually emphasize on?
I am a researcher. I will not even venture to say what is the use of this research. As long as this is research which is not repetitive, this is not copied from somewhere else. Right? For example, yesterday, Dinesh Srivastava talked about quarks somewhere. Right? That has no impact. Which you think is the impact. In today's context, it may not. But our knowledge about the formation of the universe is useless? No, not true, right? So the use is not within a time space which you can define. Some will be useful today, some will be useful maybe 10 years down the line, some will be useful maybe 100 years down the line. It doesn't matter. But the new knowledge is new knowledge. So actually, I think we should emphasize only on new knowledge, whatever it is. And it is not science. It could be science, it could be social science, it could be economics, it could be anything. New knowledge is new knowledge. Right? So we should look at it from that perspective.
Let that be the last one.
My name is Flavia. I'm a research assistant at NIAS. I would like you to shed some light on the suicide rates that come from these institutions, like in engineering and science field. There have been a lot of suicide rates, especially in India. So what is the institution doing to address these rates, and how can they do better?
Well, this is not in my domain. Because there is no science in this.
No, she's asking, is there more pressure on the students? Is that what you're asking?
No, but why the pressure comes? Not because of the science which is difficult, but because the false promises which have been given to him. Right? The false image that if 77 is better than 76. Right? When we were young, it was not like that. The first ranker, 78%. Second ranker, 72%. Bulk of it is 65%. Right? Today, I go to my colleague, research has come for +2. We go, lady is full of red eyes and flowing water, and the child is sitting in this. What happened to you? I thought they have failed or something like that. I got only 98.9%. What nonsense is this? Who said 98.9, 98.8? Right? We have created that kind of thing. Why that has happened? If you are eligible, you should get admitted. Today, that's not the situation. 0.9% makes a difference in your admission. If you don't get the admission, you will not get a job. So it's a cycle which is going on.
You will not get a dowry.
Huh? Right, so it's a wrong priorities which we have set for the young children. That can change now. That is not a God-given formula for them. It's a recent thing which has happened. We are 100% against the Rajasthan training for IITs. If somebody has taken Rajasthan training for IIT, he must be disqualified.
You got trained there?
I was in Kota, but there the students,
I didn't know that.
teachers. But there the teachers also undergo training
Yeah.
for 2.5 years.
Sets a wrong priority.
Yes.
You should have asked this question why those fellows are coming to study.
So with that note, let's bring this session to an end. Let's invite Dr. Bharti to propose a formal vote of thanks to the over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. For giving for joining us. Special thanks to Mr. Ram for enlightening us and educating us about the challenges where we are lagging behind from the China, what the method China is offering, and how China is serious about its education, how it is educating, how it is training the youngsters. Mainly as I know about the China, it's very serious. They are educating the youngsters not to go to abroad country. They are making compulsory to work within the country. That's the main difference, what we learn from it. Thank you once again, and for our young scholars, all might have educated and have benefited by this. And I hope they will carry this information, it's very informative. Be serious about the education, and you should be responsible to the country. You also have your own responsibility. That's what sir was trying to convince you people. You also have a responsibility towards the country. Until unless you people will be serious, and you will not get benefited if you keep blaming on others. And I think that doesn't work. And anyway, and once again, I will thank you, Professor Subhas, sir, and giving platform and bringing the students and training our students. And I hope this journey will continue in the next future also, sir. Thank you so much. once again. Yes.
So with that note, let's leave this session today, and a big thank to. After this session, they will have tea with us and then we'll be going back to Bangalore. Then I sincerely hope you will come back to this campus
Thank you, sir. Once
and
again.
for another
Yes.
to address the next batch perhaps.
Not only